Intro music.
Overview narration.
Oh, doctor!
My name is Joey.
My name is James.
And this is the Brothers Padre, James. Another week in the books.
The week of June the 3rd.
Thank you. Have we established how that works? Is it the week of the last day or is the week of the first day of the week?
I take it whatever the week of the first day we're starting the recap, which is Thursday, June the 3rd. And this has been the format I've been doing all year. And
Let me count. This is week 11, and I just now realized that.
yeah,
Some of us pay attention. Others do not.
this is true. I'm just glad you're not blaming it on the baby this time.
Yeah. I actually am very well rested. Very well rested. Week of June the 3rd. June 3rd starts on Thursday, of course. And this is the recap episode. We go over the past predetermined set of games. We're going over the past 7 games, James. And yeah, with the Brothers Padre. Remember to follow us on Twitter at Brothers Padre. We're on YouTube. You're probably listening to us on YouTube. We're on Spotify. We're on podcast apps everywhere.
Yes, we are. And it's very nice. Please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell.
How we doing, Jane? Before we get into the breakdown, how we doing? How we feeling?
Once again, do you want the honest answer? Because
We're going to cut this for time. Just kidding.
as well as can be expected for the current health condition I am in.
Yeah. You'll get better, James. You'll be fine. It's a season, my dude. James, it is the week of June 3rd, and shall we jump into the 7-game set at home, James?
Might as well. That is what we're here for.
The people need what they need, and they need recaps, James.
Yes, and this might sound. I'm throwing. I don't know what's the proper saying. Not throwing the baby out the bathwater. That's wrong. Mainly because there's babies and baths in this house right now.
Correct.
That's correct. Putting the cart before the horse.
Sure.
It's not going to be a pleasant week of recaps. The Padres didn't do particularly well, but altogether, I am uplifted, and I am very positive with everything that did happen, and with just we'll finish the recap. Hang in there; it gets better.
Yes. You and I both made predictions like we always do, and at the end, we'll figure out how right we were. You said we'd be 5-2. I said to be 6-1. So let's find out what happened, James. Did you just drop a baseball?
Yeah, I was
while I'm recording.
I was playing baseball and I dropped it.
Oh my goodness! This is why we can't have nice things. Specifically, a very old baseball.
It's a very, very old baseball.
Anyways, James, we should start Thursday, June 23rd. We welcome the New Amsterdam Metropolitans into Petco Park, and we say, this is our park. Go back to New Amsterdam.
Yes.
We beat them 4-3, James. We had 4 runs and 8 hits and 1 error. And the Mets had 3 runs and 6 hits upon 1 error as well. We had the unimitatable, I can never pronounce that, unimitatable Yu Darvish towed the bump versus the very imitatable Taiwan Walker for the Mets.
Yes.
Darvish had a shorter Darvish start, 5-1 inning pitch for his 2 runs and 2 earned runs, but that was good enough to give us the distance because we beat them Metropolitans, James. Any thoughts, any comments, and love about this game?
It was probably Darvish's worst game he's pitched all year. He did give up 3 runs. And that's just so crazy to say his worst game he's pitched. He's given up 3 runs.
He gave up 2 runs. I think the 3rd run was charged to Begon.
Oh, okay. Anyways, so he didn't have his best stuff. He left at 5 in a 3rd innings, but it was good enough to win. I think it was. Fernando Tatis again. It was a good win. There's nothing else you could say about it. Darvish got a couple hits. It was a good game.
Yeah. Tatis hits homer number 17. Very good. Yeah.
It bounced out of the center fielder's glove. It wasn't true. It wasn't Canseco bad, but it was the Met jumped up, had the ball in his glove, and then the ball flew out of his glove. It was pretty funny.
It was pretty funny. But yeah, it was a good game. Nice little sweet 4-3 victory. Tatis Jr. also had a Matrix-like slide in this game, which is now we expect from him. Had a league-leading error 14 on double play ball. But it's all good. You know why?
We won.
But also we have Tim Hill, the king of double plays with base loaded. So, dude just... That's what he does. He just comes in, bases loaded, no big deal.
That's true.
I'll just roll over double play. We're good. We're groovy, baby.
Tim Hill, if they might as well just walk the bases loaded before he comes out to pitch because he has to have the bases loaded when he pitches.
That's the kind of grit that when you show up early in the morning in Comment Circle and you see the great croissant sandwiches that you get from Palomar College, and that's why he's able to do it.
And for all you Palomar College graduates, you know what we're talking about when we say those croissant sandwiches.
Yeah,
there wasn't much to do or to brag about at Palomar College, but whoever makes those croissant sandwiches,
really good.
And that is the kind of strength.
It comes from those.
Comes from those sandwiches. I mean, yeah, look at us. We're doing a podcast based off those sandwiches.
Okay, James. Move on to Friday, June 4th.
The best game of the week.
The best game of the week. We decided to be like, hey, the Gangs of New York came in. But no, they did not take over. We beat them soundly, James.
Soundly?
Soundly.
I mean, okay, yeah, we won 2-0. That's not soundly, but Blake Snell had the best pitching performance he's had since the playoffs.
I feel annoyed that you didn't like my Gangs of New York reference.
I didn't like the movie.
Yeah, well, you don't like Leonardo DiCaprio. It's a well established fact in this pod. It's not established.
I mean,
wait, wasn't Leo in Friends?
No. Brad Pitt was, and Brad Pitt was in that movie with Leo. Why are we still talking about this?
Who's the butcher in Gangs of New York? Who's the guy?
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Daniel Day-Lewis's Lincoln is iconic.
Well, they were
Joey and I both took film classes at Palomar College.
You know what the Mets were like? They're like Daniel Day-Lewis. The Padres beat them 2-0. 2 runs on 6 hits, 1 error, 0 runs on 3 hits, on 0 errors for the New York Metropolitans.
Okay. Yes. Anyways, like we're saying, I don't know where this is going. Maybe you've had too much rest.
It's too much rest.
So Blake Snell had the best pitching performance he's had all as a Padre.
Yeah.
He was truly dominant. He had a no-hitter to the 7th inning. It was the first time he ever made it past the 7th inning as a Padre. Interesting statistic about Blake Snell that I found. He's had in his career 3 times in his career he's had a no-hitter to the 7th inning, and all 3 times he lost it to the first hitter of the 7th inning.
Crazy.
So next time he has a no-hitter to the 7th inning, just hit the first guy and deal with it, and you have a no-hitter for 9 innings.
Yep.
That's how that works.
And I think that it was pretty awesome seeing the Blake Snell that you saw in AL the past few years. The start, I mean, just go ahead and look up like the ending, the last out of the 7th inning. I can't say what he said. He said, "This is my house," or "This is our something house." But he's so hyped at the end of the 7th inning. You're like, "Oh, dude, this is the Snell I want."
It was bases loaded, right?
Yeah.
He struck out the last guy, and oh man, he's so hyped. And for those of you, if you want to have a good time, look up Blake Snell's press conferences.
Oh, it's incredible.
The man is quite possibly.
He's the most entertaining Padre player on the mic.
Absolutely, and he was. They said, how did you get your success today? Snell, and he goes, well, I didn't throw any changeups because my changeup I just told my changeup, you're not pitching today.
You put him in timeout.
You're on timeout, changeup. I'm not going to throw it in until you start throwing strikes. And he said it with such conviction, like, does he actually talk to his individual pitches? And he didn't throw a single changeup the entire game.
Yeah.
And true, the first game I've seen him all year where he was just on it 100%. And like, I just told my changeup, he's on timeout. And it was a joy to behold, to watch Snell be, that's the Snell that won the AL. The Snell that when we got him, everyone said, oh, we're going to go to the World Series because we just got this dominating pitcher. And it's good to see him taking that turn. We've started to slowly see him making better progress last couple starts, but this game, truly dominant. It was impressive.
I think having a seasoned catcher was very helpful.
Yes.
I mean, it's weird. I think if you're new to baseball, you wouldn't think that a guy like Webster Rivas is a quote unquote seasoned catcher. But man, this game and later game this dude has been a journeyman minor league catcher, but dude can call a game.
He could and there's a reason why catcher, and it seems like it's always catchers that can have a 15-year career in the minors. Right. And just be in the minors forever. The movie Ball Durham is based off of a catcher from the minor leagues, because if you can call a game and if you can hone pitchers to throw good games and good strikes and throw people out trying to steal, you are an asset. And Webster Rivas, obviously, there's a reason why he's been in our minor league system for 11 years. Yeah. And why he's actually one of the higher paid minor leaguers we have, because clearly he is our Kevin Costner. I'm saying it right now. Webster Rivas is our Kevin Costner.
Dude throws people out, calls great games. I think a remarkable difference between Luis Campusano, who's developing, and a Webster Rivas game. And it was awesome seeing him catch Snell. I thought it was very good. Shall I move on, James, to Saturday, June 5th?
Yeah, why not?
The Wolves of Wall Street came into town, James.
See, I do hate that movie.
Because you hate Leonardo DiCaprio. I knew it. I knew it. It's on record.
Can I just say The Wolf of Wall Street is one of the most garbage movies that people like. I don't
Friends and Wolf of Wall Street.
I don't. Friends is understandable why people hate that movie. I don't understand why people like the. I don't understand why people like that movie.
Jonah Hill.
Yeah, it is. The Wolf of Wall Street's a garbage movie. Wow. The first 5 minutes, they tell you everything that's going to happen. And then that happens. That's like, okay, it's reading. They read you the end of the book before it starts. It was lazy screenwriting. It was Martin Scorsese's laziest film.
It's kind of like this recap where I'm going to tell you we lose, and then I'm going to explain how we lost.
Exactly.
For example, we lost 4-0. Much like the U.S. economy at the time of Wolf of Wall Street, we also lost. So 4 runs on 13 hits and 1 error for the New York Metropolitans, 0 runs and 5 hits and 0 errors for the San Diego Padres, James. This game had it all. It had Joe Musgrove pitching a good game, 3 earned runs. Nibel Krismet coming in, giving 1 earned run. And the Padres offense seemingly forgetting how to piece together hits. Which is a theme we're going to find in the next 4 games, 5 games.
Out of all the pitches that it seems like this is happening, this is the one game that we have an excuse. We were facing Jason DeGrom, and he is
but unbelievably
the most incredible starting pitcher in our generation.
The first 10 pitches were over 100 miles an hour, hitting 102.
Yeah, 33. He threw 33 pitches over 100 miles an hour the entire game, and
he's a starting pitcher.
Yeah, and he threw. He only threw like 85 pitches the whole game. Almost half of them were 100 plus miles an hour. This is. It's not even fair. This guy does, and the thing that bugs me the most about him, he doesn't look like a villain.
No.
If you were to see Jason DeGrom on the street, you wouldn't think pro athlete. Yep. You would think, oh, look, there's an accountant that jogs. And that's the thing that bugs me the most about him. There is nothing remarkable. Look, he doesn't have long hair. He doesn't have a nose ring. He doesn't have anything to make himself look like he's the most dominating pitcher of all time. But he is. And he's just this nerdy accountant looking dude that can throw strikes and it was
If you,
everything we thought it could have, what could have happened facing DeGrom happened.
if you want a real trippy thing, go ahead and on Baseball Savant and look up his pitch mix over time. He just starts throwing more fastballs over time because he's like, oh yeah, people can't hit 102. Like the first 11 pitches, 10 of them were 100 plus miles an hour of a game. He didn't. It was literally like, yeah, can you hit it? Oh, go ahead and try to hit this. Like I'm just throwing missiles. Like I'm just, and it was tough. It wasn't easy, you know.
And the thing is, it isn't like, and if they were straight, a major hitter could hit them. They're not just. No. They're missiles that have like a 12-inch dip. They're insane.
Yeah. Billy McKinney still hates us. Billy McKinney is now on the villain list, I think. He killed us when he was a Brewer. We were at a game when he killed us.
Yeah.
And then
it's like he's being traded and he's following the Padres ahead of us.
Just waiting until Colorado trades him.
Exactly. Colorado can get him. Yeah, exactly. It just he precedes us and then he just smacks us around. They only have him up to face us.
Yeah, it just Jacob DeGrom does just bananas. Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. We all said that we would lose this game, and sure enough, we did.
I will say one thing about this game that actually this whole series. I know you heard us talk about this before, but it was a very bad umpired game. The last 7 games. Some of the worst strike calls I've ever seen.
This 7-game stretch is really rough.
Yeah, on Friday, the manager for the Mets was thrown out because there was a ball that was 4 inches off the side, and he was thrown out.
And so was the catcher too.
And so was the catcher. They both were yelling. And on Saturday, Jerickson Profar was thrown out for the first time in his career.
Yep.
He's been playing baseball for 11 years, I think. Mm-hmm. That doesn't happen. You just don't get. He gets thrown out for his first time in his career. I mean, and because it was such a bad call, he slammed his bat on the ground, and then Jace Tingler got thrown out. And the next game, Machado was thrown out for arguing.
Yep.
It was. And that's also what makes, I mean, we saw 2 Cy Young starts this weekend with Snell and DeGrom. And what makes them even better, they were fighting 2 teams. They were playing, DeGrom was playing us and the umpires, and so was Snell. He was fighting they were playing against, they had to play, I'm just getting upset. Anyways, when you have to pitch against the opposing team and the umpires,
not good.
It's not good. There were pitches that were in the strike zone, balls.
Right.
There was pitches that were a foot off the strike zone, strikes. It was inconsistent, and it was just terrible.
Yep.
Anyways, that was my 2 cents for a game in which we lost.
Yep. We move on to June 6th. The New York Mets come into town for the final game of the 4-game series. And we lose them 6-2. This game felt like the saddest of all the games. It just felt like nothing was landing, and it felt like a squandering of Paddock's start. Paddock gave a quality start, 16 pitch on 3 earned runs. Jace Tingler, as you mentioned, was tossed out before an out was recorded in the 2nd inning. Tatis was punched out on a questionable check swing call by home plate umpire. And then the next batter for the Mets, Dom Smith, checked his swing, but this time the home plate umpire asked for help. And that's when Manny and Jace were like, so you asked for help for a lefty, and the guy didn't swing, or they did swing but called it no swing.
Yeah.
So it just was like, you're just completely being wishy-washy, because the home plate umpire cannot check and call a strike, but he didn't ask for help, but asked for help for the next one. And Manny and Jace both got ejected for it.
Yes. And to be fair, they were also both upset about the last 3 games.
Right.
That this team just seems to have all had a concussion in the last year.
Right.
And don't know how to, be smart people anymore. It's just it is so. It's just so sad. It was not. It was just not sad. It's frustrating to watch. The baseball should not rely on whether or not these guys are having a good day or they've taken their meds.
Correct. Rude, but correct.
Also, I think this game was definitely the Padres are facing DeGrom whiplash.
And Marcus Stroman threw a good game too.
Marcus Stroman threw a really good game, and again, this was game 16 in a row without a day off. We talked about we predicted this way back when we were riding high at the beginning of this 20-game stretch. That towards the end we're going to see us start to slow down,
right? And
I think this is the game that you literally saw everyone like, okay, we really need a day off. We really want to sleep in one day,
right? And
it was it just again, Paddock pitched a really good game.
Yep.
Anytime you can throw 5+ innings and only allow 3 runs,
it's a quality start.
It's a quality start. Paddock can't be blamed for this loss.
No.
It was the Padres offense couldn't get together. Our bullpen is tired. They lost a couple runs. It was, again, it was just, I think it was the first sign of us starting to look like we're slowing down, which showed more when the other team gets here.
Yep. Chicago Baby Bears coming to town, to Petco Park. We just saw them last week, and we say, no, not today. We beat the Bay Bears 9-4, James, and it felt good. It felt very, very good because we had lots of walks, we had offense, and winning 9-4 is awesome. I don't care what anyone else says.
I'll take a 9-4 win any day of the week.
Our favorite Padres pitcher pitched, Ryan Weathers, and it was awesome. Even though he had his worst inning of his year, probably it's had the bases loaded off 2 weak singles and a walk, but then a weak grounded himself and. He just botched the throw and an easy at least 1 out, but he just throws it away. 2 runs score, and 3 runs score in the total inning. But came through at the end, and it was kind of okay.
He gave up 3 runs, and that's his worst start of his career. And we have just said twice now, when you give up 3 runs in 5 innings, it's a quality start. And he lasted 5 innings.
Yep.
And he gave it 3 runs. It was a quality start for the kid.
Yep, I agree.
And the Padres scored 9 runs. You cannot be wrong with that. Oh, I forgot to mention, because this game had Machado's home run, which is pretty cool. Machado hits, it's the 9th inning? 8th inning. He's up to bat. He hits just this lazy fly ball pop up to midway between home plate and first base. Anthony Rizzo comes down in foul territory to grab it, and he just biffs the ball. And it just falls right out of his glove. Not something you see Anthony Rizzo ever do. The very next pitch, Machado just hits a bomb to right field, and as he's running the bases, he points right at Anthony Rizzo, and it was a great. It was pretty great. And the thing is that I wanted to bring up, I forgot to, the first game of the series, the second game of the series, Machado hit a home run as well, and it was his first home run since the legendary chain was brought by him to the dugout. And it was his first home run with the chain, and any of you that know Padres watch the dugouts like we do, Machado is the team leader and the cheerleader.
Right.
Every time this year anyone got their first home run of the year,
right,
he would make sure he did all the classic pranks. They'd come down and nobody would celebrate with them.
Right.
Because like, we're not going to celebrate. It's home run. Hassan Kim's was the best. He was right down the dugout. No one's looking at him, and he's just like whatever. And then they all tackle him. And so when Machado hits his first home run with the chain, they did the exact same thing to him. He comes right out, hey, where's my chain? And he had to go get it to put it on himself. Nobody acknowledged it. He just did it. And then they all cheered for him. So it was pretty great to see that, just because even though they're clearly tired, they're still having fun.
The good thing about this game, good approach, made Azalai the pitcher for the Cubs for 50 pitches in 2 innings. We drew a lot of walks. We still can't find big hits, but we walked a lot, and that helped us a lot. Just because if you walk a lot, you get opportunity to score. We left 11 people on base. We're 1 for 12 with runners in scoring position, but still won 9-4.
Yes.
It's pretty good.
Pretty good. And also lost stolen bases.
Yep.
If we would have gotten a couple key hits, we probably would have won 15-0.
I mean, Brown and Gray had 2-run homer. That was pretty clutch, and a double for RBI double as well. So there were big hits, just not. This felt like a game that could have been 16-3.
It felt, yeah, exactly.
It felt like it could be a much bigger game, but Padres offense is tired. I mean, I know we win 9-4, but it definitely still felt like this is still a very tired offense.
We were clearly against the Cubs' worst starting pitcher. Is that fair to say?
I think that's fair, yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. Shall we move on, James?
Let's move on.
Tuesday, June 8th, we welcome in Chicago Cubs. And like that famous movie, we were sleeping. So while we were sleeping, we got beat.
What?
While You're Sleeping was set in Chicago.
No, it wasn't. It was set in Seattle.
Chicago.
No, Seattle.
They ask him about like what's his favorite ball club, the Cubs or the White Sox.
Yeah, because he is a guy who is.
No, it's in.
It's set. She's in New York. He's in Seattle.
You're thinking of.
I'm thinking of.
You've Got Mail.
No, I'm thinking of
Harry Met Sally. What are you thinking about, dude?
I'm thinking of Sleepless in Seattle. You're thinking of Why You Were Sleeping with Sandra Bullock.
Which is why I said, which is set in Chicago.
Why are we talking about romantic comedies? I think we just lost all of our macho cred.
7-1, they beat us because we were sleeping. Let
me just say this real quickly. Every time we've gotten a movie reference about a movie that men watch, I'm correct.
Wolf of Wall Street. That's not.
I know, but every time we have stats about these movies, you don't know anything. You don't know when Hardball and Moneyball are released. You do know all the finer details of romantic comedies. I'm just saying.
I've only mentioned one romantic comedy in this episode. Do you think Wolf of Wall Street romantic comedy? The Cubs beat us 7-1, of course. 7 runs, 7 hits on no errors. The Padres lost on 1 run, 3 hits upon 1 error. Dinelson Lamet was good until he wasn't.
He started missing up in the zone. It wasn't pretty.
First 3 innings were great, but then a lot of 4-run runs, 4 hits. The sunny side positive take is at least he's throwing more. Zach Davies got his revenge game because he did not want to leave San Diego. He beat us.
It is true. I believe you texted me that former Padre pitchers always.
They destroyed us.
Eric Lauer destroyed us this year. Zach Davies destroyed us. And
Joey Lucchesi did okay.
No, we beat Joey Lucchesi pretty soundly.
Oh, it's a bummer.
Yeah.
Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, he's Canadian. He can't.
Is he actually Canadian?
He is Canadian. He's Googling it because he doesn't. If it's not a romantic comedy fact, I know it.
If it's not a romantic. He was born in Newark, California, James.
Why did he? No, he's not. He's from Canada.
Newark, California.
He is Canadian.
It literally says California.
Because Lucchesi and
grew up a fan of Oakland Athletics, not Toronto Blue Jays or the Montreal Expos.
Was that your French accent?
It was, and everyone liked it. Like and subscribe and comment how much you like my French accent.
This episode's got off the rails.
It got very. This is the game. I was like, oh, we're beyond tired.
Yes,
we are just. Zach Davies did a great job for us last year. I'm not gonna deny that, but it doesn't mean that we can't string together better hits. Because we can. It's just our approach was just bad. If your name wasn't Tommy Pham, Tommy Pham hasn't gotten the memo. He's getting on base.
Yeah, he's the hottest hitter on our team right now.
If your name is Tommy Pham and Fernando Tatis Jr., the past 20 games has been fine.
Yeah,
but those two guys have been shouldering it all. And just this game was just it just felt like we were tired and over it.
And it was notable because by the 7th inning, Jace Tingler pretty much took all of our starters out and put in replacements because he understands that we were all tired, and it was noticeably the team was tired. And it was to the point where the next game was like, could we just not play a doubleheader later? I mean, Jace Taylor took all the starters out in hopes to get them a little bit of rest for the next game.
Yep.
But it didn't work because it was a day game and it was a short turnaround.
We might as well finish up this series recap with Game 7, James. We welcome in Chicago Cubs to our day game, final game of the 3-game series, and we lose 3-1 in a loss that felt like it was 17-1.
It did.
It really just did. Once they got one more run after Yu Darvish, I was like, I don't think we can get 2 runs. It just felt like
Again, Yu Darvish made a good quality start. You go 2 runs,
7 innings pitched.
Yeah, it was. 7. You can't ask for a better starter than that. Our bullpen's tired. Our hitters are tired. It's the last game of a 20-game stretch. It's the first time the Padres have done a 20-game stretch in. I think they said last time we did something like this was 3 years ago, as a franchise.
Yikes!
And anyways, whoever wrote the schedule is clearly a Dodger fan, and I resent you.
Wow, hot take. Hear that, Rob Manfred? I know you listen to the pod, Rob.
And you know our displeasure.
You know our displeasure. Dost thou know my discontent, Mr. I was just at the end of this game, like, I'm just so happy. You mentioned this the other day. I'll get an off day tomorrow.
As fans, we get off days too. Like, we get an off day today. It's just, it was just. I'm so glad the Padres left early to go to New York and they got to sleep in. Hopefully they went out and got some overrated pizza and just had a relaxing day. I don't know how you can in that city, but. Basically, any city that isn't San Diego, I think, is probably trash.
New York City has a vibe of. It reminds me of when you had old TVs when a snow crashed and it's like, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
that's the whole vibe of New York City. What's going on?
But hopefully their hotel rooms are quiet and they were able to get some good.
Super sleep. Zen, yeah. Hopefully, but we lose this week. 3-4, James. We're both wrong about our predictions. We're both right. We lose to DeGrom. I predicted 6-1. You predicted 5-2. Ended up being 3-4.
Our second losing streak in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Although the last week wasn't that bad. As
2-4.
2-4, and then it's only our third losing week of the year.
Of when the bite side that we've been recapping. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot. Well, we just kind of recap. Do you want to talk about
So I promised at the beginning of this episode, we're going to talk about why we shouldn't all be depressed because Padre fans, we get depressed over the littlest things.
Yeah.
We just finished a 20-game stretch, something we haven't done in years. We're 10-10.
Right.
We played some really great teams.
Right.
We played the Mets that are a competitive team, a playoff potential team. We played the Cubs that are for some reason now a playoff competitive team. It's beyond what? The Mets? So we've played a lot of good teams this last 10 games. Remember, it started at that high right after the end of that 9-game stretch in a row with the sweep of the Mariners.
Right.
And it seems so long ago, that sweep of those Mariners. And you sent this stat to me that the Padres have played more games against teams over 500 than any other team in our division.
Yep.
We've played 39 games against teams over 500 and we have a 50% record against them.
Yikes.
That's a competitive team ratio. The Dodgers have played 32 games, and they're only a game ahead of us right now.
Right.
And the Giants have played 20 games. So really, when the Giants start playing harder games, they might not be as good as people think.
And the flip side of that, of course, the nature of these of NL schedulers and is that everyone in the NL will play the exact same teams as each other, right? They're never going to be a game like we're going to play the same teams. So we're going to get a nicer schedule, like in the second half of the year.
Yeah, so so we're playing a lot of tough teams the first half, and the later half, it's a lot of lesser teams.
I mean, we're going to see the Rockies soon. We're going to see the Diamondbacks more. You know, we haven't really seen.
We haven't played we'll play the Marlins next half.
The Marlins are a much better team than probably we like. They're the worst team in the NL East, but they're still like they have some people that can terrorize you. But yeah, they're just we're gonna play worse teams, just the way it's gonna be, and just this like we're eventually gonna have a schedule where the Giants will be like, well, the past month you guys have seen, you know, that's how all Giants chants talk. Well, this past month you've seen 20 bad teams, we've only seen 2, and like, well, that's how the schedules work, you know.
And
that's
also,
how Padres talk.
That's
how Padres fans talk.
That's every sports fan talks. This is what I'm thinking the uplifting part is to take away. We would never, except for that 9 where we lost by no, this whole week we didn't lose.
A 7-3 game, probably
7-3 game, yeah. But I'm saying like
7-1.
7-1. That was our worst game, and it was probably the game where we were the most tired. I think that we saw this week two quality starts from Darvish.
Yep.
A quality start from an excellent start from Snell. Mm-hmm. A quality start from Musgrove. A quality start from Paddock. A quality start from Weathers. And
Nelson Lamet would have been if they pulled him earlier, but they wanted to stretch him out.
True.
Right.
Because they wanted to give people rest.
Right.
So I think if we were playing a normal type of a schedule where our players are semi-rested, those would have been way closer games. You can't look at the stat lines for those starts and say they were bad starts.
Yeah.
We are not a bad team. We have a bad stretch, and I think this is probably going to be the last losing week we're going to have. Probably until August.
Wow. What a take. I'm writing that down. That's a take that I don't want to be cold. I don't want it to be a cold take. I want it to be a hot take. I want it to be a right hot take. James predicted last losing week until August. I like it. I like that vibe. I like that vibe a lot.
And I just think because you look at our schedule, yeah, we're playing DeGrom again on Friday, and if we score run against DeGrom, we're going to win the game. Because if Snell's Snell again,
yeah,
it's going to be one of the best pitching duels all year. And it's going to be a tough game, a tough battle. I think after the Padres have a day off, maybe go see the Statue of Liberty. Did you hear France is sending another one?
2 Statue of Liberty?
Yeah, for the whatever 200th anniversary, they're sending a smaller one. Anyways, it's going to be somewhere in New York. Who cares? Anyway.
One rosy side of it, I don't know the right way to say it, but like this past 20 games, most of it wasn't played with Grisham or Nola. So we kind of had black holes in our lineup, extra black holes in our lineup with Webster Rivas, who, even though he's a good defensive catcher, is not a great offensive threat. And we just been struggling. So like it's just losing 2 guys that normally play every day that are offensive contributors is a big deal, even though like it's just, and the past 20 games were 50-50, 10-10. So it's not what you necessarily want, but considering where we're at, length of games, you'll take it when you can take it. And because the division no one's running away with the division, right?
Absolutely.
Like, I mean, the Giants, Dodgers, and Padres are all within 3 games of each other. There's 100 games of baseball almost left. A little less than 100 for the Padres. Like
99 at this point.
Like that's plenty of time.
Yeah, plenty of time.
And yeah. James, shall we make predictions as we always do at the end of the episode?
Yeah, so we're going to be going to New York.
The Mets. We're going to see the Mets. Not the other New York team. Not the New York Highlanders. We're not a lacrosse team.
I don't know what's happening this episode, but I don't know if you're off or I'm off. Or
I'm so on.
I think again, this 20-game stretch has broken us too.
And I need to correct the record. New York Highlanders was the old name for the New York Yankees.
I know that.
You know what? So I have all these puns planned out for every team, and I messed it up. That was my bad. I'll be better next time.
And everyone knows the New York Yankees were once called the Highlanders.
Not everyone knows
That is not.
My daughter doesn't know about that.
But your daughter's a half a year old.
We're going to Flushing, New York, James, home of the New York Mets.
We're playing the Mets 3 games, and then we're playing the Rockies 3 games.
Yes.
I think we're going to bounce back big. 5-1.
5-1, because we're gonna be predicting.
And I don't think our loss will be to DeGrom.
Ooh, a hot take. 5-1. So the rule is I cannot pick the same as you.
Why is that the rule? What's never the rule?
What's the fun of?
Okay.
We have to pick something different. 4-2 sounds bad. But I would take it after this last week.
Okay.
So I think that we lose 1 to the Mets and 1 to the Rockies. I think DeGrom, it's just so hard to bet against DeGrom. But I think we lose tomorrow against DeGrom. And I think we lose to Colorado in a Colorado game. I think Colorado is a black box of misfortune, a Pandora's box of demise, and nothing can be predicted because it's like a random number generator. It's just the worst thing in the world.
But the Rockies are currently on the worst losing streak in Major League
They're
Baseball
very
history.
bad.
Yeah.
But I don't know. The place is cursed. Place is just no.
But McKinney's not in the stuff.
You don't know that yet.
That's true.
What if Trevor Story gets traded to the Mets and from McKinney? Can you imagine? There's a conspiracy against the Padres. They're like, who's the best of the Padres? Send it to that team.
Exactly.
We see Willie Adames go different places. We see Patrick Wisdom get sent everywhere. What's going on? It's the conspiracy.
Who the heck is Patrick Wisdom?
Dude, Patrick Wisdom's the biggest dork of all time. That's what I want to say. I'm going to put on the record. Patrick Wisdom, you're a dork. Stop murdering us. Stop destroying us.
Who the heck is that guy? It was insane. Anyways, I'm glad we're done with the Cubs. And yeah, I think 5-1. You think 4-2. I'll be happy with either one.
Yep.
But 5-1, I think we bounce back.
Yep, I think so. I'm excited to see. I'm excited for earlier games. I know. I don't hate watching local games live, but sometimes 7:10 is too late. Okay, I'll say it. Sometimes I want to go to bed early. Sometimes I like watching a baseball game at 4:10, and then going to bed at 7.
This might be I think having a child's changed you.
Of course. What kind of freak doesn't change?
I'm just saying, man.
Yeah. Well,
Just
we
saying,
learned a lot this
you
episode.
used to stay up all night. No, all night benders. Now nothing.
Yeah, you know me. It's a big bender type. Yep, James. We learned a lot from each other this episode. We've opened up. We've learned that you hate Leonardo DiCaprio. I know lots about romantic movies.
You know way too much about romantic movies.
Yeah. You know my favorite romantic movie is?
What's that?
Bram Stoker's Dracula. Just kidding. Even though it is a love story.
Never seen it.
It's not that good. But
I hear that, yeah.
But it is technically a love story. Yeah.
Do I have to say my favorite love story now?
No. You have to say your favorite Leonardo DiCaprio movie, though.
My favorite Leonardo DiCaprio movie is easy. It's Catch Me If You Can.
Catch Me If You Can.
Yeah.
And catch us if you can on your podcast app.
Oh, snap.
Apple Podcast, Spotify. We're on YouTube. Like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. You know where we're at Brothers Padre on Twitter. Until next week, James, go Padres.
Go Padres.
There it is! Oh, doctor! You can hang a star on that, baby.